Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
Happy Tuesday evening here from North Louisiana. This is Michelle, and I'm actually in the studio, but our fearless leader, the one and only C.L. Bryant, is on the line with me from North Carolina.
Hello, Michelle, and listen, you're doing a fantastic job, and to everyone out there throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known, we want to say good evening to you. Yes, Michelle, I'm coming to everybody from beautiful North Carolina. We're here in, give us the name of the university. I have a wonderful young man here with me who is the College Republicans, Michael Sutton. Michael, tell us the name of the university. Come on down here with me.
Kind of put me on the spot here. How are y'all doing?
Just go ahead.
Western Carolina University.
Western Carolina University is where we are, and he has been one of the organizers of this, and along with Jane Bellello. Jane, say hello.
Hey, how you doing?
And coming up is Clarence Henderson, a civil rights icon. He's going to be here with us as well, Michelle. We're expecting a nice turnout here. We've had a fantastic tour so far on this trip. We're on the Content of Character tour. I do this almost every year, and this year it's taking us to the southeast coast of our nation. And we're going to talk to these young people here on the radio show tonight, folks, and call a friend, tell them to tune in.
Now,
go ahead, Michelle.
Now, last night you were with, is it Clarence Henderson?
Yes.
And that was Martin Luther King, anniversary celebrated last night. And now Clarence Henderson, you've been in civil rights, the movement, but you were younger. But he actually was at the Woolworth counter. He was one of the. Tell us about that, because that must have been unreal to be with him last night.
He was one of the original four at the Woolworth counter there in Greensboro, North Carolina, and it was an amazing thing because this was back in the 1960s when they did not serve black people there. And after, I think it was 176 days, by them continually coming in and demanding, or at least sitting there peacefully to be served, just sitting there in a nonviolent way. Finally, it was broken. It was broken, and the segregated counter began to. What was happening, and Clarence can tell you this when we get him on. Blacks could come in and buy food and take it out. They sell them the food, but they couldn't sit down there and eat it. And throughout the South, throughout the segregated South, it wasn't quite that good. Sometimes you'd have to go around back and get served and then take it away, but you couldn't eat inside. Clarence is an icon. He is one of the people who make this conversation that you and I are having right now tonight possible, Michelle, because of course you're Caucasian and of course I'm black. But here in 2017, some nearly 60 years later, we are over 60 years later, we are talking about this. And so it was absolutely phenomenal.
Now, is this tour for college students? Because what's remarkable about this, it has been 60 years, and so much of the younger generation, we talked about it with the millennials, they don't realize what really happened, what really is the civil rights movement.
Exactly. And, Michelle, the price that was paid for that civil right. And a lot of times people misunderstand what civil rights is about. Somehow you have a black face on it, or maybe you have a woman's face on it, or a Latino's face on it. But civil rights were guaranteed to us by our founding document, the Constitution of the United States, and, of course, the founding document, our Declaration of Independence. Every citizen of the United States has a civil right, and written into our founding document it's unalienable. In other words, they are rights that are given to us that only we as Americans throughout the entire vast world, only we enjoy the type of rights we do here in America as civil rights. But blacks were being denied those rights in the South 60 years ago. And of course, 60 years ago, I was just coming into the world, But it wasn't until I was 8 years old before the 1964 and 65 Civil Rights Act was actually signed into law by Lyndon Baines Johnson. And so, yeah, people misunderstand so many times what we're talking about when we're talking about an iconic civil rights leader like Clarence Henderson, who's going to be on air here with us shortly.
And it's just like you said, it's not violent. It's not Black Lives Matter that's tearing up Chicago. And it was in a world where he wasn't allowed. It isn't today where now it's not equal rights, it's special rights that we're demanding. Oh, you got to be nice to me because you mistreated me 100 years ago.
Exactly right.
And so he would be a conservative like you.
Oh, he is definitely a conservative like me. Hey, Michelle, he could sit in my chair right now and do my show, and it would be me doing the show. And unfortunately, a lot of times when we think of a civil rights leader like Clarence Henderson, you're thinking about a liberal like Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton or something of that nature. But no, the point that you were making earlier is very important, because young people don't understand that there was a time when you couldn't go and be served at the Burger King. You couldn't go to the restaurant and be served if you were black, if you were Latino, and in some places, if you were Catholic in the South, you could not go and do that. And it was people like Clarence Henderson, who in fact made this type of thing accessible to everyone, everybody. And when we see movements like Black Lives Matter, when we see movements like Hands Up, Don't Shoot, or even the George Soros-driven Occupy Wall Street, most of the time those young people are stealing valor from people like Clarence Henderson, who paid a price.
And Dr. Jones, who recently passed away.
Jones,
yes.
Bless his heart and his memory, who passed away, who paid the price. And Dr. King, on yesterday, we celebrated his birthday.
That's right.
And regardless of what you may think of it, Michelle, we look at days like yesterday, and sometimes we don't understand the vast importance that it had on the landscape of our nation.
Well, we're going to come back with our ruler and leader, C.L. Bryant, after the break.
Hi, how are you? C.L. Bryant. What's your
We're back at the CL Bryant Show. This is Michelle sitting in the big chair while CL is in North Carolina, but he's joining us on the phone. Are you there, CL?
I am here, and I am on with young Americans. Tell me, Mike. Tell me, Garrett. Tell me what who you are and what you're about.
Yes, sir. So first of all, it's really good to get to meet you. Second, Young Americans for Liberty is I'm the president of Young Americans for Liberty at Western Carolina University, and it is a primarily libertarian-based organization, but there are also Democrats and Republicans in it. I'm a Republican myself, but I am the president of it here. And we're not affiliated, though, with Republican or Democrat. We focus on individual constitutional liberties and how you can apply them to your life.
And Michelle, that is very encouraging. And I have Mr. Tester here with us. Who are you with?
I'm with College Republicans and Young Americans for Liberty.
Fantastic. And Michelle, I tell you what, if you see these young people, you would have to be encouraged, especially in light of the rhetoric that we hear coming from another civil rights leader, a true leader of the civil rights movement, John Lewis. You and I were talking about this before the break, and the difference in what John Lewis sees as far as America is concerned and what Clarence Henderson is seeing. And I had a chance to talk with Clarence last night about John Lewis and how ludicrous it is for him to be making some of the statements that he's making. It's night and day, because he would not believe that these young people exist. And he does not believe that these young people that we're going to talk to tonight, in fact, have a voice in this country. And progressive liberals, as you well know, would not want us to believe that these young people are actually in existence.
Well, people are so easy and quick to criticize millennials, people under 35. And I'm a mom of several millennials. Sometimes it seems like a dozen, but it's not that many. And, I see a generation that is colorblind. They're not judgmental. I mean, people say they're lazy. They want to be handed everything. I'm not seeing that. But the good things I do see is that they're colorblind and that they do want to have equal rights. But I'd love to see these young people to hear history from the people that lived it. He's 75 years old. You're like 25. But, you're men that have lived these experiences, and now you're getting to share them with the next generation so that we can maintain this liberty that you always like to say, that the cost of liberty is like eternal vigilance, like Thomas
Exactly.
I butchered it a little bit, but yeah.
Exactly right. Well, no, that's absolutely right. Coming from Thomas Jefferson, the price of our liberty will be eternal vigilance, and to share it with them in a truthful way and not with anger or bitterness over the past. I admire John Lewis for getting his head split open and marching up the Edmund Pettus Bridge and all of that. I do admire that. But I'm several years younger than John Lewis, but I've drank from the black and white water fountains. I've drank from colored water fountains. And you've heard me tell the story about Negro Day in Shreveport, Louisiana, right there where you're coming from, and where that was the only day in the 2-week run of the state fair that black people, Negroes as we were called then, could even go to the fair. But the bitterness of that, I guess I could find some way to be bitter about it, but you can find some way to be bitter about your dog being killed, or whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah. Whatever.
Tornadoes coming. Now people
Tornadoes,
get, blame somebody about that.
But you have to move on, and you have to go on, and you have to put those things that belong in the past behind you and learn from them as you move forward. And so this is encouraging when we see these young people.
In the past few years, things have changed, even the conversation for conservatives. I think with this Trump win, as much as they're so angry and hostile, I see it as a bridge builder where you and people like John Lewis, can have a conversation. We need to be able to acknowledge that there are conservative black people in America and that they were there and they are allowed to have that point of view. From the left, the past 8 years with President Obama, it's that if you don't all share this one point of view, then you can't even have a seat at the table. And Donald Trump has torn that wall down of separation, and now we can have conversation. And it's okay to be a Christian. It's okay to be a conservative black person. I'm a woman. And the names that we were called for supporting Trump, they're unfairly, they don't even know us, and they generalized all of us.
Michelle, you and I were talking a little bit earlier when I first when we set this up for this evening. We talked about the 700 to 1,000 busloads of protesters that are headed to Washington, D.C. As we speak to be there to protest the inauguration. I don't know what kind, and actually, to tell you the truth, I'm telling you again, be very careful there at inauguration. At the inauguration, keep your eyes open, keep your head on a swivel, because it's not going to be Bush's inauguration. It's not going to be Barack Obama.
It's not going to be your grandma's inauguration.
It's not going to be grandma's inauguration.
Well, and Selena Zito's coming on at the top of the hour, and she was writing about this very thing, and she'll be at the inauguration. And, you know, she's been in journalism forever, and it's about fairness. It isn't wrong for people to speak their mind and protest in America. And nobody is upset about that. I'm saddened by the lack of information that has caused people to think the things that they do. And I blame the mainstream media. I mean, on one hand, people need to dig down deeper, but the mainstream media just bias. And I mean, if you ask those protesters, they think that we're all neo-Nazis and want to cart them off in chains. And that's not what this is about. We feel like Donald Trump's presidency is going to restore free speech in America for you and I.
Absolutely. And when we talk about the spirit of fairness, Donald Trump has not been inaugurated yet. And as you know, I've been with him on several occasions now. And I had told a crowd of people last night, as they say here, well, actually, we were in South Carolina last night. But if I told a crowd of people, you're going to be pleasantly surprised. You're going to be very surprised at the type of president he is going to be. Give him a chance. And isn't that the American way? To give somebody a chance, the peaceful transition of power. Let us make that transition, and then let's give this administration a chance. Because the way we wound up with Obamacare, or the Affordable Health Care Act, the way we wound up with that is that people gave Barack Obama a chance. And the chance that we gave him may not have proven to be the best bullet in the gun to shoot, but Trump is saying he's going to fix it. So if he can fix it, then let's give him a chance to do that. And he's already said that we're not going to leave a gap so that people who may be coming off of Obamacare will be left without insurance. I can see the progressive liberal media. That's what they harp on. They don't even have a plan to replace it. They don't have give them a chance. Give them a chance and see what they're going to do before you make the judgment call on how horrible a president he is.
Excellent. Now, you're going to stay with us for the next block, right?
I'm going to stay with you. I'm waiting.
Okay.
We're waiting on Clarence Henderson. And if he doesn't come in, I'm going to be talking to, and I can call you back later on the show.
Good.
When Clarence is
with Clarence.
Here. And
all right.
Because I'll be here, though. I'll be right here.
All right, sir. Well, we'll be back with C.L. Bryant, host of The C.L. Bryant Show.
That's when they come and they go.
Oh, sure.
We are live here in Shreveport, Louisiana on the C.L. Bryant Show. This is Michelle sitting in for the one and only C.L. Bryant. I never talk this way in front of him, but while he's out of town, he is on the phone with us right now in North Carolina.
I am, and I want to bring on now, Michelle, a young man. Mike, come on over here with me. I want to bring on a young man now who is hugely responsible for the success of this gathering and us being here today to speak to these young people. Is Michael Sutton. Michael, tell the folks a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Michael Sutton. I am a student at Western Carolina University. It's a pleasure to be here with such wonderful men. It's a time in our country where we need unity, we need healing, and I think that comes through freedom. That comes through freedom of speech. And there's things that need to be said, and I think it's wonderful that we live in a country where we can do stuff like this together. And it's just a great opportunity to hear from men.
And you know what, Michelle? It is very encouraging to hear that idea of what this country means to young people like this. And hopefully we can give them some staples to secure them to that idea as we move forward. You know, Michelle, you and I, we've been on the road here for a little while. I've been on it a little bit longer than you. But just the same.
A lot longer. Let's clarify that.
But we have to make sure, as the preamble of our Constitution tells us, that we're trying to secure a more perfect union. And we're trying to preserve this, not only for ourselves, but for our posterity. And what we'll be talking to tonight, who we'll be talking to tonight, is indeed that posterity, our children, our young people, for the future. And so it is absolutely my pleasure to be here. Again, we're waiting on Clarence, and if we're able to do so, because this event does start at 7 o'clock, and the people are beginning to come in now, 7 o'clock here at our time.
Now, you're going to be back here live Friday night, the night of the inauguration,
be there live,
in the studio, talking to people.
You'll be at the inauguration, and hopefully you'll be very safe and keep your head on a swivel, like I'm telling you. I'm
a swivel.
You,
that's new to me.
These are your orders. Be very cautious when you're up there. This is not going to be just tourist D.C. This is going to be D.C. transformed into a protest camp, believe me. And so I would be up there with you, but I'll just be coming back in from
well, I was going to say, so you're going to be back here Friday night, but the rest of the week, this is Tuesday. So each day you're going to be at college campuses?
I will be at, no, I won't be on a college campus tomorrow. I'll be talking to some grassroots people down, as they say here, downstate. We'll actually be in Georgia tomorrow night. I'll be in Athens, Georgia tomorrow night. Alan, where will we be in Athens? Okay, I'll have to text that to you because they don't know the name. We'll be in Athens, Georgia.
So it'll be in Athens, Georgia tomorrow night. And where will you be Thursday?
Thursday, I'll be back up in North Carolina. I'll be in South Carolina, in Summerville, South Carolina, on Thursday. But listen, it's beginning to come in. They're beginning to come in, and if I can get Clarence on once he arrives,
give me a call back.
I'll give you a call back.
Well, we'll be ready for him.
And listen, you and the gang, you tell Jay and Rick and the whole gang there, and the two girls there that we really do miss being home. And I give a special shout out to my wife, Jane. Jane, I sure miss you, but I know you got the home fires going. Certainly do appreciate it. Love you.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Well, CL is right. I am in the studio with girls. I have one of our very good friends with me. She's kind of my co-host or co-pilot tonight, Lieutenant Colonel Tina Kingston. Hi, Tina.
Well, hey, Michelle. Glad to be here tonight.
That was a fun conversation with CL.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm in my mid-50s, and I remember so much.
Were you here in Louisiana?
Mm-hmm. I was in West Carroll Parish. I was in West Carroll Parish during that time, and a lot of things over there were still separate but equal.
Well, yeah, that's what he says, too. Now, I'm not from here. I've never saw that. I knew from movies, but he lived it.
Yeah, it definitely, when you, as a kid, you don't think about it so much and the meanings behind everything. But as I got older, you realized, the meaning and everything behind that, and that we needed to, become one group of people, not separate but equal.
I can't even imagine. But now you were in the military for how many years?
29 and a half.
So that's almost 30 years. You just recently retired.
2012.
So did you, in the military, you didn't see any racism. It was always very unified and very...
Absolutely. I mean, the military is probably one of the best examples of unification. I mean, whether it was male, female, any kind of different race, we were all one team, one fight.
Well, and the military is controversial right now all the time. So tell us about Chelsea Manning. I don't even know if our listeners know who that is. It's actually a man, isn't it?
Yes, he was arrested as Bradley Manning and then later identified and became Chelsea Manning. I was in Iraq when he was arrested. Now, when she was arrested for giving secrets to WikiLeaks.
So he really did give secrets.
Absolutely.
And now is he pardoned?
From what I can understand, looking at the news today, she's going to be completely pardoned. I mean, she put so many lives at danger, gave up so many secrets. I mean, this is just adding, salt to the wound.
Yeah.
I mean, it just really, as a former retired military, makes me very angry.
I'm so upsetting. All right, well, we will be back. She'll be in the studio with me all night, so...
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
We're back at the C.L. Bryant Show Tuesday night, and we're having a lovely evening. I have my friend, Lieutenant Colonel Tina Kingston, in the studio with me, and on the line, we have one of our very favorite journalists, Selena Zito. She was at the Pittsburgh Tribune for 11 years. She's actually in Pittsburgh tonight, but now she's with the Washington Examiner and the New York Post and a contributing editor for CNN. How are you doing tonight, Selena?
I'm swell. So nice to be on with you.
It is so nice to be on with you. I read your articles, and it's always so fresh. You were one of the first people that opened my eyes in Pennsylvania during the summer that Trump could actually win Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty evident to me by the time the conventions were over. And, you know, they were in Cleveland, then I drove across Pennsylvania to go to Philadelphia for the Democratic one, and then drove back. And both times went on back roads. And when I came home, I was like, oh, it's over. I mean, it's just over. People don't realize this because they don't want to.
Because they don't want to, yeah.
No, they didn't want to.
Well, and you're a member of the mainstream media, if there's ever a mainstream, and they seem to have ignored the back country roads of Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, there's two ways to cover an election. You either take the interstates or you fly in and you stay out by the closest Marriott hotel so you can get your points. You go to a rally, you see the most peculiar person or two, you write about them, and then you drive away. Or you go into a town, you spend a day or two there, and you get to know the people, and you don't take the interstate, and you don't fly, and you, most importantly, you listen to them. What are their concerns? What is important to them? And even if they don't tell you how they're going to vote, you understand pretty much
what they're thinking and how they're going
what
to...
they're thinking and where they're leaning.
Exactly. And you wrote about that during the campaign. I would read those articles, and you were very bold in doing so because other people, like you said, they were just flying in, seeing strangers at the rally and writing about that. But you were actually... Didn't you literally go through a tour and interview people?
Oh, I put 50,000 miles on my car. I went on a lot of tours.
So now
I drove across the country. Yeah, I was everywhere. I'm still doing that. I'm still doing that right now.
Well, but you're on CNN now. You do morning shows on CNN?
I'm here and there. I'll be on tonight with Don Lemon. You know, I'm on maybe once or twice a day, and they have me on from Pittsburgh, and then beginning tomorrow I'll be in Washington for the inaugural coverage. So. So I'm everywhere.
Well, this is not your first inauguration to cover, I'm sure.
Right.
Do you think it's going to be different? People are talking about protests, that it's going to be very different than any other. What are your thoughts?
Well, look, we've always done protests. I want to scream at my television when I hear a reporter say this is unprecedented. There's never been protest. I was 9 years old when Richard Nixon rode in his motorcade in 1969, and there were smoke bombs thrown at it and tomatoes thrown at it, and there was horse manure thrown at Spiro Agnew, who was the
vice president,
newly elected vice president. So, I mean, in 2000, why can't people remember this? 2000 was not that long ago, right?
Right, and that is anything more divisive than that.
I mean, they called, there was the illegitimate president
for 4 years.
You know, and so, you know, yes, there'll be protests, and yes, that will get probably more coverage than the actual events and ceremonies, and that is sort of the problem with my profession at this moment, is that we focus too much on the shiny, bright objects and not on the substance.
Excellent. Well said. So, how can people? What I do is, I find your articles and I read them, but I know that people want to follow you. So, should they go to the Washington Post, or do you have a blog that has all your writings?
No, they can. If they followed me on Twitter at Selena Zito, they could. I am always posting my articles, or just go to Google News and put my name in, and then my stories. I almost have a story every day.
I do. I read them every day. Now, this might sound a little bit out there, but I kind of see Donald Trump as a bridge building candidate. And I know that sounds crazy, but I really do think his policies are going to actually give us an opportunity to build bridges. What are your expectations for his presidency or his first 100 days?
I think it's going to be change a lot. Just like really bold, unprecedented change. Not hopey change, but some things that are going to make some people unhappy, some things that are going to make some people very happy. But I interviewed a bunch of mayors that are attending the Conference of Mayors in Washington, D.C., 300 of them. And I said, and the one woman mayor, she was from Belmont, Michigan, which runs runs right beside Flint. And then she had some of the same, water issues that Flint did.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I've been mayor forever. I've never gone to one of these. I'm a Democrat. But I'm going to this conference because I want to hear what he has to say, because I think that there are things in there for me and my city that might not have been there under a Hillary Clinton presidency.
Oh,
so
man.
I don't think that you're, sort of outside coloring out the lines when thinking that people do think that there's places where there's bridge building available to voters.
That is amazing. That story. And I'm in the studio with Tina, and we're just looking at each other. What a story. And those are the people in Michigan that were overlooked by all politicians. And Donald Trump went there face to face and said, hey, I want to help you and bring change. And you were saying that you talked to some Democrats that were unhappy with some of this protesting.
They're incredibly unhappy. They're happy with Congressman John Lewis. It's not that they don't respect him, but they do believe that he crossed a line. If he wants to not go to the inauguration, that is well within his prerogative. He can talk about it all he wants, but to call the Trump presidency illegitimate is a bridge too far, and it makes Democrats look pathetic and desperate. So that sort of really bothers them. Also, the protests. Well, again, these Democrats out here, again, believe it's really important to exercise your voice through protest. This type of protest, it does not do anything to rebuild the party. And in fact, instead of 1,030 seats that they've lost, they might lose twice that amount.
They might lose more because people are looking.
Yeah.
So, Selena, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I know you're super busy. We'll keep back in touch with you. So they go to...
Thank you for having me.
No, it's wonderful. And I hope everybody reads your... So go to Twitter, Selena Zito.
Yeah, at Selena Zito, SALENAZITO.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be back after the break. We're back at the C.L. Bryant Show. Listen to that great music. And we've got C.L. Bryant back with us.
Yes, I'm here, Michelle.
Great.
And also I have civil rights icon Clarence Henderson with me. Clarence Henderson was among those 4 at the Woolworth counter and who actually launched and broke the back of segregation in the South. He is iconic. And young people are here today, and I certainly hope that when we leave here tonight, they will understand and know that they were in the presence of a truly great man. Clarence, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being on the C.L. Bryant Show.
Oh, you're quite welcome. It's a pleasure to be here and to share with people times past and how it was then versus how it is now, because we have a very different situation, and we're fighting a different kind of situation, and if people are not aware of it, they'll get lost in the quagmire.
And Michelle, that's important to hear. That, and Clarence, have people gotten lost in the quagmires? That's what's going on with our young people in particular. Are they being fed a bill of goods? They're trying to live a life that they can never live, the one that you did, or I even went through in my youth as you did.
There's a great misconception of information as to what is and what isn't. What we're dealing with today is that you must research America and find your history, find out what history is in America, because you'll hear liberals or whatever, they'll tell you whatever they think is politically expedient or politically correct to get you to go in their direction. They'll try to get you to, they'll try to tell you what to think as opposed to how to think.
And that's exactly what we run into, Michelle, and you and I talk about this a lot there on the show, is that there are people who actually, the government now want to parent us. They want to guide us in a certain way of thinking. And, of course, it's a mentality that once you become dependent on, there's a codependency that becomes sick. And, Clarence, why aren't you angry about what you went through? What happened to cause you not to be angry, and why do you think so many young people, black and white, seem to be angry over the 60s or the 50s when they weren't there? What do you say?
Well, what has happened is that back during my time, what we did is we took those kind of situations like Jim Crow, we took it as a trial that we would go through in order to succeed, and not what we have become now is that we have become so feeble-minded that we can't realize that America offers an opportunity, and for some people it's a little bit different than others. But as far as I'm concerned right now, there's nobody here that I have a reason to be angry at, and I wasn't angry doing then. I just knew that there was an opportunity for us in America, we as black people, if we just took advantage of it, because you have to know what the American system is. That's the biggest challenge.
And Clarence Henderson is an entrepreneur in his own right. And when he talks about taking advantage of opportunity, he knows what he's talking about. At the rate that we see the anger and the angst that's brewing in this country, are young people taking away their own chance at opportunity, or are they paving a way for it, or are they hindering themselves from taking the opportunity that's available to them, in your opinion, Clarence?
They are comparing rather than competing. And I'll give you an example. When I graduated from North Carolina A&T State University with a business administration degree, I went to work with several different companies and ran their companies. And I finally figured out that I could compete rather than compare. So I went into business for myself and took on the challenge and said, now I'll put my stand right on the side of yours and see who's best. And that's what we don't understand right now. Most of America does not understand what America is, and they do not understand what the opportunity is that we have.
Competing. They're comparing and not competing. I want to thank you, Michelle. We have a crowd here that we have to talk to, and I had to get back to doing that, but we broke in to this in order to take on the interview with Mr. Henderson. And
Yes.
Really, I have to say that it is an incredible honor to be here with him. I'm saying that on my own behalf. It's an incredible honor to be here with him. Go to our website, folks, TheCLBryantShow.com, TheCLBryantShow.com. Download the free app. All of you throughout the United States listening throughout the fruited plains of America, the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known. And like me, like our Facebook page, The C.L. Bryant Show, and follow me on Twitter at Rev CL Bryant. Michelle?
Yes.
You're doing a good job. Thank you
Well,
so much.
and let's have Clarence Henderson back on the show. It's remarkable what he's done in North Carolina, and there's so many things we want to talk to him about.
God bless. God keep you all.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you live in studio on Friday, but I'll be back tomorrow sometime. All right. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Well, Tina, that was enriching, and I was reading his biography. He's done so many things in North Carolina. It's amazing how he has such a different point of view than people like Congressman John Lewis, and yet they came from the same place at the same time. You know, they both had, difficulties, and yet they have a totally different point of view.
Yeah, he's an absolute role model, for young Americans, no matter what race you are. And it's a shame that not more young people can follow his leadership versus right now what Congressman Lewis
Well,
is
the
doing.
media, the power of that. This is happening. You don't see a whole bunch of TV cameras there, but they could be. And especially yesterday was Martin Luther King celebrations. There should have been some national attention for that, but it's not what they want to be talking about. They want to highlight divisiveness. And but you were talking, as a woman in the military, we were talking about the pardon that looks like the pardon. Now, what was his name before it was Chelsea?
It was Private Bradley Manning. That's what he was arrested and charged and sent to prison under.
And you were in Iraq.
I was in Iraq when he was arrested. He was downloading secrets, and he turned them over to WikiLeaks. Put several people's lives in jeopardy. And, I mean...
It's just remarkable, though, this WikiLeaks connection. So you've got the liberal media. You've got, the president mad at WikiLeaks because of what happened during the campaign, just because they uncovered emails of the Democrat National Committee. Oh, so WikiLeaks is bad. This guy gave WikiLeaks secrets, military secrets. And what is does it say the reason that he's going to pardon him?
I didn't see a reason in looking for it. It just follows our President Obama's typical deal where he goes to the dishonorable, in my mind, military, just like Bo Bird Dog, trading 5 horrible terrorists for someone who went AWOL where people lost their lives trying to find him. And, I mean, he tends to go in that direction. I don't understand it. I don't get it. It makes me angry.
Does it cause, and your husband's in the military,
Yes.
You have a lot of friends around the world in the military, the United States military. What does it do to the morale of our strong, amazing military?
It lowers the morale. I mean, that's your commander-in-chief. I mean, I can say things now that I couldn't say then. If you're in there, that's your boss, that's your commander-in-chief, and you really can't express some of the opinions I'm expressing right now. But now that I'm retired, I'm free to say...
Just like an American citizen.
Correct.
But when you work for the military and that is your boss?
That's your boss. I mean, that would be disrespectful. It would be like me talking down, to a general, or saying something bad to a general or about a general disparagingly. And when you're in the military, you just don't do that.
I'm just still thinking about this. So he gave away military secrets, and he may just be pardoned for no good reason.
None.
All right, well, we will be back at the C.L. Bryant Show. Welcome back to the C.L. Bryant Show. We're just listening to the music that Jay is piping up for us, some David Bowie. I'm in the studio with retired Lieutenant Colonel Tina Kingston, and we were talking about Chelsea Manning, or what is his real name?
Bradley.
Yeah. And I'm on the line with us is Tom Pace, a local journalist. Tom, are you there?
I am here. Michelle, thank you for allowing me to join you.
I know. It's a special privilege. Do you feel special?
I feel very, very special and honored. I just finished up my show, but I was listening to you, and the thing that you were saying, while very true to a point, outgoing President Obama has chosen to pardon and commute sentences, but on Chelsea Manning, a.k.a. Bradley Manning, he has commuted her sentence to where she will get out in May. That is different from a pardon where it is a full presidential pardon, and they are then expunged. But she will still have a record of being guilty and tried.
Right.
It's just that her sentence is commuted, if I'm not mistaken.
It's commuted.
Lieutenant
The
Colonel.
sentence is commuted. He or she, I mean, I think at the time he was a he, so I'm going to say he was convicted of stealing and disseminating 750,000 pages of documents and videos to WikiLeaks. I mean, Tom, you're not in the military. She is.
Well, I was in the military for a year.
Oh,
for a year.
okay.
I was in the Navy, and sadly my dad got cancer, and I was out. I was in the Vietnam era with Elmo Zumwalt as the chief naval operations. But the lieutenant colonel is so very correct. You are not allowed to speak your mind. You do what they say and what your commander-in-chief says. So that being said, he did violate the terms of his oath, to be perfectly honest. If I'm not mistaken, Lieutenant Colonel, is that right?
Yes, you're talking you're talking about Bradley Manning?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, absolutely.
How did he violate his oath?
Well, you take an oath to uphold the Constitution and follow your orders and everything else. I can't remember it verbatim, but I mean, just the idea of what he released and how many's life he put in danger, it's just unfathomable. When I was over there when this happened.
And what was it like to be in Iraq when this happened?
I mean, you're just very, very angry. I mean, super.
You all knew about it. How did you all find out about it?
We get briefings. I mean, there's briefings and Fox and iPads availability and stuff like that. I mean, you're not totally cut off, but I mean, it's just pure anger to the fact of him doing this, her doing this, and you know, he wants to raise awareness. Well, that's not the private's decision. They swore an oath to do their duty, obey their officers and NCOs, and that wasn't his decision to make.
Well,
there was a chain of command. There was actually a chain of command he should have followed, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Well, and I think some of it is, you know, that's a lot of documents and videos. Of course, CNN points out the one calling collateral damage, you know, talking about people's life, collateral murder, you know, and war, I am a naive person. I'm not. That's why I always bring Tina in, because I'm so impressed with a woman who served in the military like you have and served in Iraq. I don't have that ability to do that. So, but war is a messy thing. You know, World War II, if we would have had the TV and media that we have today, we would have lost that war.
Yes.
Because everything, the brutality, war is hell. Isn't that this famous saying? I mean, so I understand that he wanted to point out things, but we are a good country. We are good people. Our soldiers, Tina, you know, people love them when they come to their countries because they're good to the children in Iraq. Did you witness that?
Yes, I mean, the soldiers over there, they're good. They try to do the right thing whenever possible. And what Manning should have done is what Mr. Pace was alluding to there. There's a proper procedure, a chain of command. He goes up the chain of command. If somebody he feels doesn't give him the time of day, then there's always an open door policy for the commander. And you can always, if somebody in your chain of command is not giving you what you feel due attention, then you can, you know, go around that and you keep going up till you feel like you've gotten your message across. And I think that's what Tom Pacer was referring to.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, and Michelle, I'm going to let you guys go and talk about it, but I will say, on behalf of all the military today, I think now they're with a new administration, a new commander-in-chief, they will have a newfound respect for the United States of America and everything that we stand for, and I applaud everything that President Trump has on his plate to make the defense a national treasure, okay?
Yes, well, we appreciate you, Tom. Thank you for listening and calling in.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're
and
welcome.
Lieutenant Colonel Tina, thank you so much for your kindness.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and to look at the different things. Now, Julian Assange is saying because you have given granted clemency to Manning, then he wants to be extradited to the United States because the crime was joint with him. So he's saying if you're going to say it's okay to leak things to me, then I can certainly put them out there. Because, who's more guilty? And I honestly think it's the guy in the military in the United States who's more guilty because he took an oath to defend and preserve and protect. And then he leaks this to some other entity. I mean, Julian Assange is not American. And, I'm sorry. I have a hard time wrapping my mind around this.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I do feel Manning, gets the, blunt blame in 99.9% of it. Assange leaked it. I disagree with him totally as far as him. But I understand his frame of logic with what President Obama did.
Yeah, the logic, right. You
Yeah.
don't think, yeah. All right. Well, we will be back on the C.L. Bryant Show with Karen Vaughn, the Gold Star Mom.
Get your motor running.
We're back on the C.L. Bryant Show with Lieutenant Colonel Tina Kingston in the studio with me. And I have a military mom as our guest. Both of us know her and are impressed with her. Karen Vaughn, a Gold Star mom, actually. Her son was a Navy SEAL from SEAL Team 6 who gave his life for our country. Karen, it's so good to have you here with us today.
It's good to be on with you today. Thanks so much.
Well, we're excited. You were very involved with the Trump campaign. We followed that very closely. As a Gold Star family and a representative of Gold Star families around the country, how do you feel about the new administration?
You know, I'll tell you, I'm still just kind of sitting back trying to absorb it all, that it really happened. Because, if I can just elaborate for a second, right after Aaron died, his father and my husband Billy and I, we just kind of hit the ground running within probably about 6 or 7 months, just realizing that there were a lot of things going wrong inside our government, a lot of things going wrong inside our military. We realized that the rules of engagement from this current administration are absolutely what got our son and the other 29 men that died in the shoot-down of Extortion 17, that got them killed. And we, took to the streets. We went to Congress. We started going to the American people. And, election night was kind of just a culmination of 5 years of brutally hard, painful work for us. And I'm still just kind of pinching myself, having a hard time believing that it really happened. We really accomplished the goal. And so many people came together working. And
yeah, because, as a mom, my heart is just breaking right now when you think about it. I mean, I know you're a Gold Star mom, but to think about your son and what he went through, and that you're saying policies, endangered his life.
Policies.
And Tina's shaking her head. Yes. Now, you've met Tina.
They absolutely took his life. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you've met Tina and you've worked together to see this happen. And so you're expecting, now, do you like his appointments over the VA?
So far, I have to be honest with you. I'm a little disappointed with the VA secretary choice. As you can imagine, I worked, quite closely for several years with Pete Hegseth, and I was really hoping that Pete would get that nod. But that's so far the only thing that and I wouldn't say disappointed. I'm waiting to see. I'm going to sit back and just kind of see how this goes. But so far, that's the only thing that I've kind of scratched my head about. Picking an insider for that job who doesn't really who doesn't really seem to have the positions that Mr. Trump campaigned on, about VA reform. But Mr. Trump's a very persuasive and strong leader, and I'm hoping he turns his mind, and turns his thoughts towards a better way to handle VA reform. So I'm keeping my hopes up about it.
Karen, this is Tina. I thoroughly agree with what you said. I was hoping for Pete, and I agree with you. We'd sit back and watch and give everybody a chance, but I don't see how from bringing someone from inside is going to get a good vision for the corrections that the VA needs to get done.
But what about, is it General
Tina,
Flynn for Department of Defense?
I love General Flynn. Billy and I have gotten to meet him. He is an extraordinarily kind man. He actually is just a warm enough and genuine enough man that he called Billy 2 days after the election, just to, kind of just thank us for the part we played. And that's not important. It's just that he even remembered and, thanked us for our son's sacrifice. And, we met him one time, and he gives us a call on Friday morning after, they only find out on Wednesday that Mr. Trump has won the election. And that just really made me think even a lot more of him. So we're hoping to, have a relationship with him through this new administration, and maybe have some, have some opportunities to bring our thoughts to the table in some critical areas for our warfighters.
And that's what you were hoping for. And I think that's going to happen. I've liked the way that General Flynn was able to handle the Congress and the Senate hearings, and he was very direct and straightforward about things. And I mean, we talked about war a lot tonight because we talked about, Chelsea Manning and different things like that. But just war itself is a messy business. And again, nobody can even imagine the sacrifice that you have made in your family. Now, there's an organization called Believe With Me. Tell us about that. And aren't you all doing an event, I guess, Thursday in D.C.?
We are. Let me just start by telling you, the woman who started this, her name is Leah Reback. She is a mother of 16 children, and she homeschools these kids. And she is the most amazing. She is so seriously amazing. This woman, I don't know if she ever sleeps. She kind of reminds me of Donald Trump a little bit, that I don't know when they sleep, because
probably a different temperament, though. Just a little. Is she on Twitter at 3 in the morning? No, I'm just kidding.
She is. She actually is, probably. But she's a woman who decided, it was kind of an interesting scenario. Right after Aaron died, about 2 years after his death, this Leah Rebeck tweeted me, and you know how you can just reach out to anybody on Twitter, and she personalized the tweet to me, and it was a picture of 4 of her boys in swimming trunks, shirtless, with their muscles all flexed on the beach, and it said something to the effect of, "I vow to raise these kids, in a way that will honor your son's sacrifice," and they'll stand up and kind of step into his place. And it meant so much to me that I shared it on all my social media pages, and I had no idea the woman lived practically in my backyard, literally 20 minutes from my home. And so, and about a year's time went by before we realized we lived next to each other, and now I'm on the board with Believe With Me, and I work with her. And what she does is, I think what happened is Aaron's death kind of hit our community like a bolt of lightning. People, thought they understood sacrifice, thought that they were paying attention, but then when Aaron died, our community felt it, and she was one of the people personally affected by it. We didn't even know each other beforehand, like I said. And so she started reaching out and trying to find ways to minister to Gold Star families, just things she could do. She started sending bouquets to Gold Star wives on Valentine's Day. And not only just does she want to reach out and care for Gold Star family members, she wants her biggest goal is to challenge the people in the community, the regular citizens, to also reach out and give honor and respect and love to people who have sacrificed a lot on their behalf. And so she's always trying to create this beautiful union. And just this past August, she chose the Gold Star family in our community whose house was just they were struggling. The house was really run down since their son died. They just hadn't been able to do the remodels necessary and things like that. And she got together hundreds of volunteers in our little town.
It is so wonderful to hear that.
In 5 days, they stripped that house down to the studs and rebuilt it. It was just the most amazing. Most amazing thing you've ever seen. So those are the kind of projects she does, and so we are having a fundraiser on 19th.
Well, hold on just a moment. We're coming up to a break, and what we're going to do when we come back is give more details to how our listeners can support Believe With Me. We're on with Karen Vaughn, and I'm in the studio with Lieutenant Colonel Tina Kingston, and we'll be back.
I've been running, trying to keep hung up in my mind.
We're back on the C.L. Bryant Show. This is Michelle, sitting in for C.L. Bryant, and I am joined by my good friend, Lieutenant Colonel Tina Kingston, and we are on the line with Karen Vaughn, Gold Star Mom.
Yes, Karen.
Are you there, Karen?
I am, yep.
Excellent. Well, we wanted you to tell us a little bit about Believe With Me. Now, there's a luncheon taking place in Washington, D.C. on Thursday. Is that during the inauguration? It's like part of the inaugurational events?
No, it's not actually part of it. We were just fortunate enough to get the Lincoln Room reserved at the Trump Hotel, and we're just having a really nice luncheon to just try to do a great deal of fundraising for the Believe With Me project, and we're really excited about it. It's coming together really well, and we just hope to be able to do tremendous things through it.
And so and people can donate because, like you said, this is an organization that takes care of Gold Star families long after their loved one is gone. Because people have to realize, I mean, it's been, did you say it's 5 years or 6 years?
It's been 5.5 years for us.
Yeah.
And, like what you said is really powerful because just this past Christmas, she started the Christmas before this one. This is her second year doing it. But Leanne, with her children and with students from the high school that, that surrounds where her kids live, people from her neighborhood, they come together every Christmas. And this year they gave out they sent Christmas presents to over 300 Gold Star children. FedEx jumped in and donated the shipping and boxes. People went online and purchased presents. And so, but this family, they don't just throw these presents in a box. They want these Gold Star children to feel really loved by America.
Yes,
so they have people write notes and put them with every single present, thanking them for their family's sacrifice.
They don't want it to feel forgotten.
They do their names in calligraphy on white paper with gold wrapping, with gold ribbon, and an American flag on every present. Just to the nine.
Just so they know that they're not forgotten. And I think that's the whole message.
Right.
Because you don't forget just because the person has passed away. Children, that will be their father forever, their loved ones. And, Karen, we want to continue to help you with this throughout the year because this is something that all of our listeners around the country can go with believewithme.com and donate. Find out if there's something in your area that you can do because your son, Karen, he did that for me and for my children. And when you said that the 4 little boys, that picture that she sent to you and said that, but that's the truth, Karen. And there's millions of Americans that you will never meet that feel the same way and are so grateful for your sacrifice.
Well, it's one of the most humbling expressions a person can make to a Gold Star parent is just saying that I'll teach my children. I will teach my children what your son gave, and I will teach them to honor the sacrifice. It's the best thing anyone could do for us, for sure.
Exactly. All right, then. So believewithme.com. If you're going to be at the inauguration, you can come to that luncheon on Thursday. But we thank you, Karen, for being our friend, and we will have you back.
Thank you so much. It's good to talk to you both. Have a wonderful evening.
You too. Well, that's a lot to take in.
She's amazing. I've seen her 8 times, and 8 times I've had lumps in my throat and tears down my face. But in listening to her, you want to get behind her and help and do anything you can to support the causes.
To support
behind.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And I think believewithme.com. If you're out there listening, it doesn't matter where you are. No donation is too small because every American needs to be grateful and say thank you. And now on the line with us is another friend of ours, Kathleen Saucier. Are you there?
Yes, I'm there. I'm here.
I'm actually in the studio with Lieutenant Colonel Tina Kingston. She's retired Lieutenant Colonel. Kathleen, we only have about 60 seconds, a little bit more than that, for you to quickly talk about your story. We've talked about Chelsea Handler today, or Chelsea Manning. Freudian slip there. But tell us about your son very quickly and what we can expect or hope for or pray for.
Sure. So I believe you had Jeffrey Adicott on last week, and he discussed my son's case. My son is the Navy sailor who admitted to taking 6 photos in a classified area on a submarine, and it became a whirlwind throughout the political firestorm with Hillary Clinton because he was charged with mishandling classified information. He's presently serving a year's federal prison sentence. Last week we submitted the pardon paperwork, and we're hopeful that, possibly it'll be reviewed, but based on what came out today with Chelsea Manning, as you mentioned, I think I sent you a message saying, really? Chelsea Manning? And here my son sits in federal prison when he was obviously, prosecuted to the over extreme and for 6 photos of the classified area at the lowest level of classification when he was 22 in 2009. So I'm just again, screaming, which I was screaming like crazy during the election about the double standards and Hillary Clinton and all that she has done, and nothing's being done to her or her staff or the administration. And here again, we have another clear double standard that, I'm hopeful, but I'm realistic. I'm hopeful that President Obama is going to review the pardon paperwork that we've submitted and consider pardoning my son and commuting his sentence as he did with Chelsea Manning and so many other felons. Pretty serious felonies. But I'm also realistic in that I believe that I'm also hopeful. We said the same paperwork to the Trump administration that they'll be able to review it and consider it.
Well, we were just on with Karen Vaughn, who's a Gold Star mom. And
Karen, yes.
Yes, exactly. And she is very hopeful, and as is Tina Kingston. General Flynn, I think, is going to make some changes. As a mom, I want to apologize to all of you all for this, thing that President Obama did today to kind of, discredit the military some more. But I'm hoping that we have a new sheriff in town, new president, and to expect better results in the future. Thank you, Kathleen. Don't give up, Kathleen. We're with you.
Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
We're back on the C.L. Bryant Show. This is Michelle, and I'm in the studio with my good friend, Lieutenant Colonel Tina Kingston. And on the line with us right now, Tina, is another very special woman that we met during this Trump campaign for presidency. We have Dina DeCamp. She's the president of the Florida chapter of the National Federation of Republican Women. So that's a huge endeavor. There's a lot of Republican women in Florida. Dina, are you there?
I am.
So good to talk to you again. I mean, thank you. We talked to you election night when we were believing to pull out Florida, and you gave us hope. You gave us hope up to the election that this was going to be possible, and it has become possible. And now he's going to be our president.
He is, and I am so excited. I am so proud to have him as our president. I am in awe of his choices for his cabinet, and the women in Florida are just as excited and just as happy.
Now, you're going to the inauguration.
I am.
And you've had some comments about these women protests.
Yeah. The women's march that's going to be held in Washington, I mean, they're trying to tell us that it's a bipartisan march, that the women are marching about health and the women are marching about child care and the women. And then we found out the League of Women Voters has decided to get involved, and they're going to go march too. Now, the League of Women Voters has always told everyone that they are bipartisan. The only thing is that when they go for legislation, it's always to the liberal side. Everything they've always done is to the liberal side. They have never, that I'm aware of, supported anything that is conservative-based. So when we heard that they were going to go, we started doing a little digging, and turns out apparently what we're finding is the DNC is paying for that women's march.
So the DNC is paying for that supposed women's march, bipartisan. I mean, Dina, don't you ever get tired? And also you, Tina, I know I do, being told you're a woman, you think like this. They were so angry with us, Dina, that we voted for Trump. I mean, the accusations coming out of Hollywood about us as women. But we're offended when they're doing this march and trying to say all women think like this.
Very offended.
Well, and yeah. That's the most ridiculous thing that women don't all think alike, number one, and number two, what comes out of Hollywood is mostly fantasy.
Well, and you were just in Fort Lauderdale tonight, which is a very largely populated city, speaking to Republican women. What was on their mind?
Well, we were discussing where we're going from here. They're excited. A lot of the women in Florida are attending the inauguration because the Donald Trump campaign thanked us back in November and told us that we were the reason that they won Florida. And so a lot of the women are going, but the main topic of conversation is that we start working on Donald Trump's reelection campaign today.
That's excellent. And I think there's a lot of work to be done in South Florida from, Obamacare, repeal and replace, right away, South Florida, the Miami Herald. I'm sure our listeners really don't know, but you know how biased that newspaper is. And so immediately they start to try to say so many of the Republican congressmen and women that are elected from South Florida, they voted for this and now all of you all will be without health care. But we know that's not true. Are you seeing a growth in South Florida for Republican women and the Republican Party in general? Is there any hope for us to expand our reach and our message?
Oh, yes. Actually, we started that expansion in the last election in November, and we're going to continue that expansion. We know what factions are already supporting the conservative side, and we know where we have to work and what we have to do, and there's a large number of women that are still out there not voting, and we want to get them involved and get them participating and sign them up to vote. The one thing that Donald Trump did for us in the last election was he brought out people that had not voted in years or had never voted in their entire life. And I mean, when you have a 92-year-old woman walk in your campaign headquarters and tell me she wants to sign up to vote for the first time because she wants to vote for Donald Trump, that
That's
says
jaw-dropping.
something. And
That is.
And just so you know, that was why on election night I was so positive that Donald Trump was going to win Florida, even though they wouldn't call it. That's why, because people like her were coming out all over the state, the campaign headquarters, were sharing that information with each other. We knew what was going on down on the ground, and so did Donald Trump.
It's just such a good story to hear, Dina. And we're just so proud of what you all did in the hard work. And as women, I mean, Tina, what do you have to say? I mean, as a woman, to have them marching and telling you in the military how you should think and feel.
Well, it's offensive. I mean, from my time in the military to now being retired, I can think for myself. I don't need them people to tell me how to think. And for me personally, I take offense to it because, we've come a long way. We don't need people to tell us how to think. We can think for ourselves.
Yeah, I think the whole women's liberation movement, Dina, is about, both of your names rhyme, in case you didn't notice, is about that freedom to think on our own.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, Dina. Have fun in D.C., and we will talk to you again.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really enjoyed talking with you.
We will be back with more of The C.L. Bryant Show. We're back at the C.L. Bryant Show. Lieutenant Colonel Tina Kingston is in the studio with me. This is Michelle, filling in for C.L. Bryant. And with us tonight, the cherry on the top of the sundae, our good friend Rose Tennant, host of Rose Unplugged. We are so excited to have you with us this evening.
Thank you, Michelle. How's it going?
It's going. We've been talking to a lot of people going to the inauguration. I think one of them is your good friend, Karen Vaughn.
That's right. Yep, she's a sweetheart.
And she told us about Believe With Me, that amazing organization that helps Gold Star families and helps them not be forgotten.
The least we can do, I mean, anything that we can do for families, especially that lost someone serving this country, making the greatest sacrifice of all. And I don't even know how I don't know how parents survive losing a child as Karen and Billy did, but it takes, they're very strong people, but anything that can be done to just lift the burden for those people that have given so much, they really have, to this country.
Now, you're going to the inauguration yourself, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. And you are too.
Oh, maybe I'll see you there. And I know that
maybe we will.
I think Friday night, CL is going to be back in the studio, and he's going to be wanting to talk with you about the events. But what are you expecting? I mean, people are talking about, the protests. Selena Zito was on with us talking about that. What are you expecting to happen?
I'm sure there will be protesters. I also believe that in the nation's capital, we have some very good security forces. We have great protection. And there are people coming. There are men and women from all over the country coming into Washington D.C. to help and assist the national police force that's already there. I feel like it's going to be okay. I mean, I think there's going to be some weird incidents. There's no doubt about it. But overall, I think that it will be Donald Trump's day, and it should be. And I think that people just need to pray that things do go smoothly, not just for Donald Trump and protection for him and for his family, but also for all the people that are coming out to show their support, to celebrate their victory. They have a right to do so. We've never disrupted anyone's inauguration ceremonies, anyone's inauguration balls, ever. And to learn what they have planned for us, for half the country, it's just it's an outrage.
Well, what do you think about the Women's March? That they're supposed to have a women's march, but yet they don't ask our woman opinion. It's that one-sided, we all have to get abortions and we all hate men and we're all bitter and angry. We've had a lot of women call in tonight that are just appalled and tired of being told that there's only one way to think. If you don't agree with us, then you're wrong.
Well, we were also told women didn't like Donald Trump, and that wasn't true. That women were going to vote for Hillary Clinton in great numbers, that wasn't true. And the liberal women in this country who happen to also be pro-life were uninvited to the march. But it's simply the same. It's business as usual with these people. You have to fit into their narrative. It can only be that way, their reality.
Right.
And frankly, it's no reality at all. Let them have it. And I think the more that we see of these kind of people, the more we understand. I think most of Americans, even if they voted for Donald Trump, I believe most Americans find this all appalling.
I think too, and I think even Democrats, and like I said, Selena talked to us about that tonight, and she said they're appalled. She talked to us about a mayor in Michigan that's a Democrat of a small town right next to Flint that not only voted for Donald Trump, but is coming and attending the inauguration. She wants to hear what he has to say because it's a message of hope. So I'm excited. What are you looking forward to? Are you looking forward to the weather? What's your most favorite thing you're expecting to happen at this inauguration?
I think just being there with other people that have worked hard for this campaign. I mean, no one like just the average American who really felt like we needed change after the last 8 years. I want to be with them. I'm looking forward to just being with others who love this country, and we share so much. I always find that people in my audience tend to get along with each other without ever having met each other because they share so many of the same values: a love for God, a love for their family, and a love for country. And it's always in that order. And I think that's why we all get along as well as we do. So I'm looking forward to that, I think, the most.
Well, and I bet you're looking forward to something else, too. So not to bring up football, but I think you live in Pittsburgh. And I think you told me that even sometimes on her show, and I'm letting Tina know this, Rose will have a Pittsburgh Steeler call in. Yeah, they don't listen to our show. But so what are you expecting to happen at Sunday's game? Isn't it Sunday?
Yeah, we're going to win.
Oh,
going
okay.
to the Super Bowl. Pittsburgh going to the Super Bowl. Here we go.
Did you
Steelers,
record that? Are you expecting?
Here we go.
Are you expecting to sell that? I try. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
I suck at singing, but anyway.
What did you wrote the song? So you're expecting Pittsburgh to beat New England? Aren't they playing?
No, yes, of course.
Of course. Okay. So we are going to place bets here at the studio, and then we'll see how it goes on Monday. Well, thank you, Rose, for being so faithful to us, and we look forward to talking to you again at the inauguration.
Bye, Michelle.
Thank you, Rose. Well, Tina, are you wishing now that you were going?
Oh, I think it'd be an honor to go. I think the history, the tradition, the peaceful passing of power, it's just what makes America great.
Well, I think when you say peaceful passing of power, I think of one thing, but you think of the reality that this really is a peaceful passing of power compared to other governments in the world.
Yes, yes.
Well, we will be back to close up the show in just a moment.
Get your motor running. Head out on the highway. Looking for adventure.
What a way to end our show with Eric Clapton. Classic. So, Tina, it has been an interesting evening tonight. We've talked a lot about the inauguration, but we've also talked a lot about the military and the expectations that you have and Karen has going forward. Talk about some of the appointments again.
Well, the biggest one is Department of Defense, General James Mathis.
Mad Dog, isn't that his nickname?
The media gave him the nickname Mad Dog.
And he's a Marine general.
Mm-hmm. And I think he is awesome. I really like everything he stands for. I know I retired in 12, and I hated, to be honest, I hated that President Obama signed my retirement because I did not have faith really in him. And I think with the change in DOD, President Trump and everybody coming in, I think the military out there, the guys and girls who are serving active duty right now, they're going to be able to have faith in their leaders and really see a change and change for the better.
And I'm just hoping that people can hear that. Not the people that just agree with, the ones that agree with us, but the others, to understand what it means, why we didn't vote for Hillary. We're not mean-spirited because we didn't vote for Hillary. We can't ever forget Benghazi. 4 men who you have met, I'm sure, have you met Pronto?
I haven't met him.
Okay, well, and we both have mutual friends that know him. He spends a lot of time in Nebraska. I have very good friends there. They know him. But he doesn't come to Louisiana often. But just those men in Benghazi that lost their lives because of a major screw-up with the administration. You know, Obama tried to say that he didn't have scandals in his presidency. He may not have had moral scandals, but Benghazi is a scandal, worse than Watergate. I can't imagine, when was the last time we had a scandal of that proportion, and they tried to cover it up about a video. And then when we try to talk about it, then they try to cover up more. And fortunately for WikiLeaks, they revealed some of the emails that were covering it up.
If nothing else, I couldn't vote for Hillary because of Benghazi. The people that lost their lives over there, there's no way I could have done it, absolutely not. And I still do not believe, with our policy of never leave people behind, leave people, helpless on the battlefield.
Our policy, if I were to say that, it would just be words. But you lived there. You were in Iraq. No, never leave.
You never leave your any of your soldiers, battle buddy, anybody behind. I mean, you're always there. And I still feel like there was a cover-up there and that they could have helped those guys and at least kept some of the damage down. I just will believe that for the rest of my life.
If you can hear this song, Tina, this song is by a good friend of ours, D-Rock, and it's called The Soldier, and he wrote it to honor the military. So CL ends our show and has for the past 3 years with this song every night, where we say thank you to men and women in uniform and the men and women in the military. Thank you, and we'll talk with you again tomorrow night.
And to the families left behind, we'll stand by your side, and the bond will never be torn. For those who wear the uniform.